So these chairs, they fell into my life by way of a Facebook post from the University of Minnesota's Reuse Center. And by my life, I really mean me and 100 of my closest friends, because at 10 a.m. Saturday morning, there was basically a rush on these chairs. 30 minutes after opening, the industrial chair department was almost empty, which I guess at $10 a chair, yeah, these were gonna fly. I'm gonna start by spending 2 hours being painfully bored. I mean, doing the really important and valuable step of cleaning the chairs. I would never skip this step. Never. For real though, these chairs are gross. The College of Architecture and Landscape Architecture doesn't really seem like a place that would drip mysterious substances all over their chairs, but apparently they do. I also have to scrape off stickers and then Goo Gone the stickers, then clean off the Goo Gone, because that seems like a thing that would stop paint from adhering. It's kind of a pain. But finally, I actually get to start. The seats are part one of the project because I've given myself the rather ambitious goal of finishing all 3 chairs in one day, and the gel stain I'm using takes 8 hours to dry before I can put the finish on. That part sucks, but the lovely thing about gel stain is that it can be used on top of finish, which means I don't have to spend time stripping the finish off. It's also not as dark of a color, since it doesn't soak into the wood. That's perfect for this project, but probably not great if you're trying for a deep, dark look. And while you can apply multiple coats, every coat obscures the grain of the wood a little bit more, since it's just covering it up. The bummer about the seats, though, is that they don't disconnect from the base. Not easily, at least. They're attached by rivets, not screws, so I can't remove them without a big hassle, which really sucks, since I'm planning to spray paint the metal bases. So I wrap the seats with parchment paper instead. This is kind of dumb, because tape doesn't really stick to parchment paper, so it keeps coming undone. But I didn't want to risk staining the chairs with newspaper ink. Really though, pretty much any other paper-based product would work better. Then I prime the chairs. I'm actually using the wrong primer here. Clean metal primer would have been a better choice, but I'm using Zinsser's oil-based primer instead. It's actually been about a year since I did this project. True confession time, apparently. And the paint hasn't chipped off, so I guess either one is fine. The primer took an hour to dry, then I used a black lacquer spray paint to paint the base. It goes exactly as planned, which is a little alarming because my projects never go as planned. Clearly, I should do spray paint gel stain makeovers a little more often. I will say that my finger is super numb at this point, so maybe that can bring in some drama. Like, I'm struggling to make it through the last can of 3. I went through 3 cans of the black spray paint and 2 cans of the primer, and I still didn't bother to go downstairs and find that comfort grip thing I own. Laziness is a real thing, y'all. At some point, 8 hours had passed since I applied the gel stain, so I put on a coat of shellac. I'm choosing shellac because it can be reapplied in an hour and will have no problem adhering over the gel stain. And this is where my musings earlier jinxed me, because I do something dumb. This is why you don't do projects all in one day, y'all. So after ripping the seats of the cloth, sanding the fuzzies, and reapplying the shellac, I finally got to do the final step of the project, tracing the lettering. I spent some time debating what to do with it because I thought it was cool and authentic, but the red lettering was kinda ugly. So I'm gonna go over it in black. And I'm still tired and a little too eager to be done, so then I paint a coat of shellac on top, except I forget that shellac dissolves itself, which is usually fine, but in this case I don't move fast enough and I dissolve the previous layer just enough so that the lettering smudges. So then I have to put on more shellac and rub everything off and start over. I have a moment where I consider that I'm stuck in an infinite loop where I just keep making a mistake and fixing it and making another mistake and fixing it, and it goes on and on and on. But no, finally the chairs are done. And I think they look really cute, and even with my idiotic 8 p.m. decisions, I finished in a day, which means this project successfully felt like one project instead of 3, which was the real goal all along.